Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic.
I'm Barry P. Cook. I'm here to sort of follow up on my review of the first episode of She-Hulk. Came out on Thursday, today's Saturday, and in the past couple of days, just as I knew I would, I've been encountering people who can't stop saying negative things about the show based on their belief that it's woke or anti-male, and it's both hilarious and sad to me at the same time because often this is stuff that's being said by people who haven't watched it. It's stuff that's been in the commentary arena since before the show even came out, for weeks, possibly months, certainly after the trailers came out. And it's all based on nothing. It's based on little snippets of things that people involved with the show might have said in the press. It's based, and that have been misconstrued, in my view. It's based on snippets from the trailer that people saw, and it's based on things that a few pundits on the internet have said about the show since it came out that people are just taking on faith as being true. And I don't think that they are true. And I think to the limited extent that there's some truth to these things that are being said, it's being exaggerated by these pundits for anger points, for sensationalistic value. And I can't stand it. And it's not because I think that this show is any great shakes, any fantastic thing. It's just that they do this all the time to everything, and they kill things before they even have a chance to come out. And I mean, they did it to Batwoman, which, to be honest, the first and second seasons of were not great, but not because of the reasons that the people who didn't like them were saying they didn't like them. So I just think it's unfortunate. I think it's killed movies. I think it's killed TV shows. So it drives me crazy, especially when it's not true. There have been shows and comics and things, movies that have been excessively woke and that have been anti-male or anti-white people. And I find them to be few and far between, TV shows and movies that are really that way. Yet every time something comes out, especially from Disney Marvel, these people go crazy saying that it's woke and anti-male and anti-white people and so forth. And they're most of the time not correct. And they're wrong again in the case of this show. Now, why they say this is the case is because, as I said, they've misunderstood things that they've heard other people who've watched it say, and they are taking things from the trailer and misinterpreting them themselves and exaggerating them themselves, because I think at a certain point they want to hate these shows, whether they're good or not. So anyway, the things I'm talking about are like, when she says in the show that she doesn't think she needs to stay behind on Bruce's Island to practice managing her anger because she's had a lifetime of managing her anger in being a woman in a man's world, and that she's had to manage her anger infinitely more than Bruce ever has. And the reason they take issue with, among other things, this statement is that they think it's an example of the writers saying that her character has in fact had things harder than Bruce, which isn't true. It's the character saying that that's the way she sees things. It's the character saying that that is her outlook. It isn't the writers stating as a fact that the character has had things harder than Bruce. So, which, isn't the case in reality. He had a crazy hard life, the character Bruce. So they're pissed off about this because they think that the show is stating it as a truth that isn't actually true. That's not what's happening. What's happening is the character is saying that that's how she perceives things to be. And what we're supposed to get from that is that this is a flaw of hers. And what's supposed to happen over the rest of the season is that over time she comes to see that she was wrong, at least to some degree, that she hasn't had to manage her anger more than Bruce, and that she doesn't know everything she needs to know about managing anger, even now that she's a Hulk. So we'll have to, I mean, in other words, we have to wait and see if that actually happens before we can say, well, the show is shitty because the character is an idiot for thinking what she thinks. What we should be saying is, at this point in the show, the character's kind of an idiot for thinking what she thinks. Let's see if she learns that she's wrong, again, at least to some degree, as the show goes on, before judging the show and saying that it's crap because of the outlook that the character has at the beginning. That's absurd. Nobody does that. Nobody with a brain in their head. And they also don't like the implication that comes along with what she said, which is that men are bad. Because she talks about how she's been catcalled and otherwise ill-treated by men, and is obviously very down on men. And these people that I'm talking about take that as a commentary by the show on men, but that's not what it is, in my estimation. It is a statement of the character's state of mind. And it is, in my opinion, something that they are going to end up depicting as a flaw of hers that she learns to change over the course of the show. Now, they may not do that. I could certainly be wrong, but we shouldn't be calling this show trash based on the first episode, which contains things that could change. Further, every time she says something like, I already know how to manage all the anger, I don't need to do these exercises, I don't need to learn about this thing, Bruce counters her arguments and says, no, that's not correct. You still need to learn about XYZ. And okay, I understand where you're coming from, but you're not taking into account 1, 2, 3. So they're literally writing the show where someone else is telling the character they're wrong. So it's not the case that the producers are stating that the things that she believes are facts of the world. It's just them showing that this is how she thinks. And that's fine, especially when they're being told that they're wrong by the other characters or another character. So I don't understand why. Well, you know, it is, as I said, they haven't watched it. These people have seen clips. These people have seen other people talk about these things that are in the show without giving the counter perspective that I've just given, and they just take it on faith that the show is crap, and that the writers have an agenda of saying men are bad, white people are bad, or you know, that it's woke, and it's just not true. Is there a pro-feminist, anti-male bent to the narrative in the first episode? Yes, but that's because that's where the character is psychologically. She probably won't be in that same place by the end of the season. That's my guess. And if that's the case, then everything these people are criticizing the show for is bullshit. You know, the other thing they complain about is, oh, she has no flaws. She's good at everything automatically. Not true. We don't know that she's even good at her job. She gives one practice close in front of coworkers, which one coworker praises and another one says is not good. And then she never does anything else lawyerish in the rest of the episode. So where did they get off saying she's automatically good at everything? We don't even know if she's good at her job. She ultimately couldn't throw a boulder as far as Bruce. She couldn't do the thunderclap thing. She did a different thing, but she couldn't do the thunderclap thing that he does. She couldn't even keep her car on the road when confronted with a strange event while driving. So, you know, to say she's automatically good at everything and that therefore she's like a Mary Sue or, you know, yay, women power, it's just not the case. It may turn out to be the case. Episode 2, episode 3, episode 6. Yeah, maybe. One episode has aired. They cannot be declaring these things. We don't know that she's automatically good at everything. Or anything, I should say. We certainly can't say that she doesn't have any flaws. So whoever saw the show and said, oh, they've presented us a character with no flaws is lying or stupid. And whoever didn't see it and believes it because someone else said it is stupid. And they need to shut the hell up until they watch the show for themselves. If they feel after seeing it that it does that, they're entitled to their opinion. But don't not watch the thing and then proclaim to me that it is XYZ when you haven't seen it and I have. Another thing they talk about is how, she says, she does say things that are down on men, but again, that's her perspective. One thing that they depict in line with that is they show her being sort of menaced by a couple of guys outside a bar. And these people are all pissed off that, oh, she's so down on men and she almost beat them up as She-Hulk because they catcalled her. No, they didn't catcall her. She talks about being catcalled as one of the reasons that she feels put upon by men. But they didn't catcall her in this scene. They tried to chat her up as a group. And then when she was clearly not interested in trying to walk away, they kept approaching her as a group, getting in her personal space almost, and sort of insisting on talking to her when she didn't want to talk to them. And so she became afraid, not angry, afraid, and hulked out and almost attacked them. Or it did attack one of them. I don't remember. But anyway, people are saying things like, oh, she was going to attack those guys just because they said hi or catcalled her. No, that's not what it was. They menaced her and she got afraid and she hulked out. So again, whoever told you that she got angry with them and hulked out because they catcalled her or just politely said hello is lying or stupid. And you're stupid for believing it without watching the show yourself. And you're even more stupid for saying that that's what happened when you don't even actually know. And the other complaint is that they even showed a scene like that. Because again, they're saying men bad. Got to show the men being bad. That's the agenda. Got to portray women as the victim to make it so that everybody knows men are bad. Well, you know what? Men do that stuff. Some men. Women have experienced it. Some women. It's a fact of life. Why can't they depict it? Why can't it be in a show? There's no reason. And the fact that it is in a show doesn't make the show bad. Now, if it's heavy-handed and if they keep piling on and if they never show men doing anything good, okay, then you'd have an argument. We're at one episode. You don't know what's coming. You can't go around calling the show crap. Now, they like to say, well, I've seen Marvel Disney do this 100 times with other shows. Okay, but you still shouldn't be stating as a fact that this show is garbage and that this show is doing the same thing because there's been one episode and you haven't watched it. So just stop it. And I'm not even saying give it a chance. If you don't want to give it a chance, don't watch it. But stop talking about it like you know what you're talking about because you don't. You just don't. Again, I could be wrong about where I think the show is going to go. I could be wrong about where it's not going to go. But only time will tell. And I'm going to watch the show. I love Tatiana Maslany. Mark Ruffalo is great in it. I'm looking forward to Daredevil. I'm looking forward to Wong. And it's a superhero show. I want to see where it goes. I want to see what they do with it. It's that simple. And if it turns out to be all these things that these people are saying it is, that it's overly anti-white. Because another example is, oh, the only other white guy in the show is a guy that when he says her clothes is no good, the paralegal tells him he's useless and basically shoots him down. And they have to shoot down the guy. And they've written that character as a jerk. So it seems. Maybe he is a jerk. Guess what? Some people are jerks. It's one episode. Let's see what happens before you start saying that they're doing A or they're doing B. They did it once. We don't know what's coming next. And again, another thing, just while we're on the subject, another thing I'm remembering that they say about it is that she talks about how men are always basically mansplaining to her and don't treat her as an equal. And so it's the show saying men are bad. No, it's saying this happens to women, and it does. So why can't they talk about it? Because you don't want to hear it? Don't watch the show. But don't tell me it's garbage when you haven't watched it. And you don't know that her perspective and outlook isn't going to change. And you don't know that they aren't going to depict men in a good light. I don't know that they are either, but I know they've already had Bruce, as I said earlier, counter her arguments. And we know that Daredevil is in it. And he's a white guy and he's a good dude, right? And he's probably going to teach her a thing or two. That's my guess. So I think we're going to see that she has flaws. I think we're going to see that she realizes she has flaws. I think we're going to see that she realizes she doesn't know everything. And I think all of these things these people are saying about the show are going to be shown to be absolutely incorrect. There's only one way to know, though, and that's to watch the show. So that's what I'm going to do. If you're not going to watch the show, cool, just shut up about it. Because you're killing a show that could be good, that could go on for multiple seasons if it succeeds. And if you tear it down and nobody watches it, it won't succeed. And it won't be that show that goes on for several seasons, bringing people entertainment that they enjoy. And I will resent the hell out of you for it. I think you killed Batwoman, you people that I'm talking to and about. And I resent you for that. Because in the third season, it really hit its stride and it was a great show. It stumbled along the way. It did some dumb stuff. It put in some SJW stuff that I think it shouldn't have. But in the end, that was a very small part of it. And they did great character stuff and great relationship stuff. And it was a great show. But it only lasted 3 seasons because people shit on it before it even came out. And it never had a chance. And because the CW gave it more chances than it should have had based on the response it was getting. But it wouldn't have gotten that response if these people had been fair to it. And it would still be going, and I'd still be able to watch it. It would be having a 4th season. So anyway, I'm going to get out of here. I just had to talk about these crazy people and how they're wrong about what we've seen so far and how they are, I think, wrong about what's to come. But we shall see. I will be back to review each episode as it's released. Until I return, my friends, I wish you peace and long life.